back, writers. Today we are going to be working on developing believable characters. But before we do that, I want us to take a look back at some of the great ideas that you've come up with for story ideas. Here's just one of them. A girl climbs a mountain by herself and she's proud. And here's what could happen. A 9-year-old girl has had a knee injury and will never be able to bend her knee. At first she gives up on life, but then something happens to change this and she decides to not give up anymore. To prove herself, she sets out to climb the mountain that overlooks her house. She doesn't get to the top, but she proves herself in a different way and learns something. I'm not sure of the specifics. Now, writers, this is a great seed idea that could turn into a story. And it's okay that this writer doesn't know the specifics because that can be fleshed out during the drafting and revision stages. Today, I want to teach you that fiction writers don't just go from choosing a story idea to writing a draft. Instead, a fiction writer lives with a story idea for a time. Now, over the past few days, you've had many chances to come up with story ideas, from taking moments from your real life, to imagining stories that you wish existed in the world, to drawing maps and thinking of, do those maps bring up memories that could be turned into stories? Right now, I want you to look back at all your possible story ideas, and I want you to choose the one that you're going to turn into a real story. I think I have mine. I think I really want to take my real small moment about getting Jonas, and I want to turn that into a fiction story. Now, before I start thinking about the story, writers will generally take time to think about the characters. We don't have to spend our time thinking about what's going to happen right away. Instead, what we can do is we can think about the characters that are going to tell the story and how they're going to make things go. Now, do you remember our T-charts that we used? We want to think about external traits and internal traits of a character to help develop our characters. Remember, external traits are things that you can see about the character from the outside. And internal traits are things about the person themselves. What's on the inside? You can't necessarily see it just by looking at them. Here, let's use me as an example. Well, what are my external traits? What can you see about me just by looking at this picture? Well, you might say I have brown hair and hazel eyes. I wear glasses. I have a beard. I have a blue shirt on. Well, maybe you can't tell from the picture, but I'm also a little short. Those would be my external traits because you can see them as you look at me. But what are some things about me that you might not be able to notice just by looking at me? Well, I'm nice to people. At least I like to think so. I love to teach. I'm pretty helpful. I want to sing all the time, even though I can't. And lastly, I need ketchup coffee 24/7. Do you notice how we took two different things? External traits, what you can see from the outside, and internal traits, what is on the inside of the character. Now, I took a moment and I thought about the characters that I'm going to have in my story. Now, like you know, my story is about Jonas and how he came to be adopted. So he's my first character I'll think about. This is what my T-chart looks like. Jonas, the external traits, what you can see by looking at him on the outside. Well, when I first got him, he's a black cat. He still is. When I first got him, he had fleas. He had patches of fur missing. He had an infected tooth that was all black, and he had scratches all over him from being outside. Those are the things I could tell about Jonas just by looking at him. But as I got to know him, I found out what his internal traits are. What is he like on the inside? I found out he's very loving. I found out that he loves to cuddle next to people. I also found out that he's a great gatherer and hunter. He would always bring me presents and things that he found around the apartment. And lastly, I knew that he really wanted a home. Take a moment and think about your story idea. Who is your main character? As you think about your main character, what are their external traits? What can you tell about them just by looking at them? Now, what are their internal traits? What kind of character are they on the inside? Today, you are going to develop your characters by thinking of their external and internal traits. As you are writing, begin by thinking whether one of your seed ideas one of your story ideas what they are. What have you chosen? Once you have your story idea, you can begin getting to know your character. Now, I don't want you to just think about your main character. Also, think of other characters as well. Here are some examples of what other kids have done for characters in the past. Here's a character, Seamus. His inside, is that he is afraid of everything, and he doesn't like his father. He also likes to go on high roller coasters. He doesn't obey his father, and he has a girlfriend. Now, externally, when you look at Seamus, you can tell he has brown hair. He's really attractive. He doesn't watch TV. He's in the 2nd grade, and he hates ice cream. He makes the facial expressions to show it. Now, here's some more. Internal. A girl likes him, but he only likes her as a friend. He loves chocolate, loves puppies, loves his babysitter more than anything, hates school, but doesn't tell anybody. He has one friend. People don't like him even though he doesn't do anything wrong. He's good at math and good with plants. Okay, writers, so you just learned how to develop believable characters. But I don't want you to stop with just developing your main character. After you've developed your main character, think about who's a secondary character. Think about their external and internal traits. After you've done that, think of an additional character. Don't just do 1 or 2. Try multiple characters that will be in your story. That way, when you go to write, you have enough information to make them really pop out. Okay, until next time, writers.